Everybody, it's Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks, where we talk about all things communication and public relations and media relations and communication with your staff, your team, your partners, all the things. Because everything speaks. What you say and don't say speaks for you, and what you do and don't do speaks for you as much, frankly, or more, if you want it to or not. Today, we're going to talk about messaging, one of my favorite topics. You've just been doing a lot of it lately, which is a good thing to do to make sure your message is clear. Make sure you're making the right decisions, being clean about it before you start talking about it. And something occurred to me on this that I think is important for everyone to remember. There's a myth that the messaging fails out there in the market, in the media, with customers. Nope. Most messaging fails long before that. It fails in the conference rooms, in the Slack channels, in the Monday boards, in quick alignments, in decks that somehow have 47 pages or slides on them, each with 3 bullets in a picture. Before it even sees daylight, it's already been watered down, overworked, politely agreed to, and frankly, politely agreed to into irrelevance. And the worst part is that everybody in the room thinks it's great. We are all those frogs that are, in that boiling pot of water. Well, that pot of water that, gets warmer and warmer and warmer over time, we don't notice that our messaging is soft because we're so in it, we can't see it. So, that's why it's good to have someone outside the organization be a part of it who can ask unfortunate, challenging questions, which I've talked about in other episodes. So here's the truth. Messaging doesn't fail because it's wrong. It fails because it's unclear, it's overcomplicated, or it's compromised. And that almost always happens inside the building or inside the Zoom walls or whatever it is. Before it hits the customer, before it hits a headline, before anyone can even misunderstand it, it's already lost. We're working on a major announcement for a client right now, and it's a big strategic shift for them. It's very exciting what they're doing. It has real implications for the business. It's the kind of thing that we think should be crystal clear, but it's a big change and it's going to change a lot of things. And they haven't quite finished working it through on the change management stuff. So we're getting into a working session and someone presents the final messaging. And I'll just give you an example. This is not the real one, but I made this one up. But you're going to recognize this. Leveraging integrated capabilities to drive future forward value creation across key stakeholder ecosystems. We've all seen a message like that. And usually what happens if I'm in the room, because I wear my heart on my sleeve and I should not play poker. I say, what does that mean? What does it actually mean? And then it's sort of met with silence. And I try not to get worried about it, like someone thinks I'm stupid. And then someone tries to translate it for me. Well, we're reorganizing and focusing on 3 priorities. Great. That's the message. But somewhere between the idea and the slide, it got gussied up, right? It got softened, it got broadened, it got tested by somebody else, right? And it turned into something no one would ever repeat out loud. If you have a message you wouldn't say, it's not your message. And that's when I said the thing that usually gets me sometimes in trouble, often gets me like, thank God she said that later on. If your own team can't say it in one sentence without looking at the slide, this is DOA. Dead on arrival. So why this happens? Messaging gets ruined inside the organizations for very predictable reasons. 1, the consensus trap. Everybody wants input. I got an email yesterday with a Google link. 37 people had to look at this press release. 37 people. Oh my God. No. 37 people do not need to weigh in on the press release. It sounds very collaborative. It just becomes chaos. So I deleted a lot of those people, most of those people, before I sent it back. We'll see if all those 37 come back in my next draft. So we take a sharp idea and then we round off every edge. Legal softens it. Marketing broadens it. Leadership adds ambition or a vision or something aspirational so that they can be ahead of the competition. Someone else throws in a buzzword they heard on a podcast, hopefully not this one. And what started out as something clear becomes something that offends no one and lands with absolutely, you guessed it, nobody. Smart people love complexity, right? They think if it sounds simple, it may not be sophisticated enough. So instead of saying we're focused on 3 priorities, we say, and I have to look down, we're activating a multidimensional strategic framework designed to optimize performance across verticals. Huh? No one knows what that means. Clarity feels risky to smart people sometimes, but confusion is what actually kills you. Clarity helps you live longer. And it's fear, right? The big one. People are afraid to say the real thing, I think, because the real thing is going to upset somebody. It might expose an uncertainty because you can't know everything. And it might require accountability, which maybe nobody wants in a pass the buck kind of situation. So instead, they hedge. They add qualifiers. They stack caveats. They build in escape hatches. And suddenly the message doesn't stand for anything and nobody cares. And then you wonder why nobody cares. And this sort of goes along with, and then we believe, frankly, that everyone gets it, right? We've talked about this before, like when everyone's nodding in the room and no one says anything, that actually nobody gets it, right? You've seen this. You present the message, everybody nods, and someone says, I think we're aligned. I think we got it. Yeah. You're not aligned. You're being polite. There's a difference. So, and this is exactly how bad external communication happens. People blame PR. We have a PR problem. You know what I'm going to say. No, you have a clarity problem or a courage problem or a decision problem. Because by the time something hits the public, it's just a reflection of what's happening internally. You know, something we've talked about before, the Streisand effect is a version of this. If a company tries to suppress or over-explain something because internally they couldn't agree on a clean, confident response, they overdo it. They lawyer it up. They spin it around. And suddenly something that nobody noticed becomes the only thing that people notice and people want to talk about. And it's all over the TikToks and it's all over Twitter and it's in the Reddit threads and all the things. The whole phenomena that started with Barbara Streisand trying to suppress that photo, almost nobody had seen, turned it into a global story that didn't fail in the media, that failed in the room somewhere when someone said, yeah, this is the right approach. So what to do instead? I was going to give you a solution. So if the message is failing inside the building, here's how to fix it. You got to force that one sentence rule. Before anything moves forward, ask, what's the one sentence we want people to remember? If you can't answer that, you are not ready. Ask for repeatability. Don't ask, does this make sense? Ask, say it back to me. If 5 people say it 5 different ways, you do not have a message. You have a suggestion. Assign one owner. Those 37 people who are on that press release are not going to be happy with me. Messaging by committee does not work. You can gather input, you can pressure test, but one person owns the final call. Otherwise, you'll optimize for agreement instead of effectiveness. And 4, say the real thing first. Before you polish it, before you brand it, before you make it sound better, say it plainly, out loud. And if it feels uncomfortable, too short, too simple, whatever, you're probably getting close to the truth. You're probably getting close to something really powerful. So any word that doesn't help understanding, gotta go. Leverage, gone. Synergy, gone. Future forward, gone. If people wouldn't say it in a conversation, don't put it in your message. Now, to be fair, I say the word leverage a lot, but only when I'm talking about business, not about what the message is. So here's a takeaway. Most messaging problems are not communication problems. They're internal alignment problems. They're clarity problems. They're courage problems. They're decision problems. Because if you can't say something clearly in a room full of your own people, I don't think you have a shot of saying it clearly to the world. So before your next big announcement, internally or externally, before your next campaign, before your next you need to get the message right meeting, pause. Say pause a lot, don't I? Yeah, pause. Look around the room and ask yourself, are we actually clear or are we just agreeing? I'll say it one more time. Are we actually clear or are we just agreeing to get the heck out of here? Because one of those builds momentum, clarity, and the other builds really nice looking confusion, being polite and agreeing. All right. Be clear, people. Don't let it get out of the building until it's clear and simple and repeatable. Until next time, I'm Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks.